All right, so I'm gonna do a video. These are gonna be simple videos for beginners, somebody who needs to get started on the SP. And I'm gonna do these because I think it'll be helpful, because I know when I first started, I think I returned it when I first got it and then got it again later, and just stuck to it, and that's how I learned it. So it took me a little while too, so I get it. It's not easy at first. There is a lot of shift combos. If you learn the shift, and all the combos are wrote here on the SP beneath these pads, so you can kind of see what to do. So this is real basic stuff. So let's do it. Why not? All right, so the first thing is bringing in sounds. I've already brought in some sounds, but I'm going to show you how. Shift 14, import, export, right? It'll get you to your import. Click, just punch it in, right? Every time you need to go into a folder, get your drum samples on there. So I'm assuming that you've already got your stuff updated. You already got your SD card formatted. You already did all those basic things. You have some knowledge of how to get started with this as far as getting your drums on here. Just load them through a computer, or you can sample in if that's what you prefer to do. For me, I have my folders. The drums that I use the most are in here. Anything else that I add, I usually sample it in. I just keep drums on my card. I keep it simple, just drums. Primarily because that's the stuff I don't want to sample in. I just want to have it ready. So you can do that, bring your samples in. So let's say you went in, you hit your shift 4, you go to your import, go to sample, go into your folder, wherever it's at. And every time I'm just going to bring a drum in. Let's say you want to get a kick. You go to your kicks, they preview your kicks as you go down. You just turn the knob and it previews. The blinking pads are free pads, so you're going to put a drum in wherever you're going to put it. As you can see, these already have something. So if I want one, I press that pad. You see it stop blinking, and I'll hit the enter button, and you brought that sample in. That's all your sample loading you do. Then hit exit, and you're done. Exit twice, and you're done. You want to delete it, hit delete. If you pick a sample and then want to add a different sample, let's say I'm going to do this kind of quickly, go back into it. Kicks, fill the... See, I'm just going through menus. Let's say I pick this sample, I loaded it, it's here, but I really want this one. All you have to do is go back to it. You don't even have to press the pad. Hit this one. It's going to ask you if you want to overwrite. So say, okay. And now you have that sample. So that's how you pretty much get a different sample over the pad. Now I'm just deleting it off because here's my kicks. So after I get my kicks initially, I don't go right into creating. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Generally, I'll use this, the pitch. And you'll see the volumes are different. I want my volumes all to be different. I set the volume for about the loudness I want it. Right? So you might play a little bit just to see where the volumes are. Perfect. So after I get my volume set, the next step is I need a tempo. So I hit shift and 11 and I tap in the tempo on the sub pad. Then you'll get a tempo will pop up and you either ride with that tempo or you can make adjustments via the knob here. So I'm going to stick with 84. Now you don't have to do this, but if your tempo is 84, and you brought these samples, you didn't pick the tempo first, then you'll have to go in and manually, if you want all your samples to match that tempo, you'll have to do each one. The shift doesn't, I don't think the shift tempo change does not work here, unfortunately for this. It really doesn't matter as much with the one shots as it does with longer samples, but I tend to do it anyway, just set them all. See, there's one that's not. I tend to set them all the same. And that's that number you see is what the tempo is of that sample. Because I remember when I used to look at the SP, I'm like, what in the heck is that big number? Why doesn't it just say the sample there? But it's telling you what that sample's tempo is. Okay. So fixed velocity, shift here. If you want to put a fixed velocity on, just turn it on. However, if you go into here, you can individually, depending on what sample you're on, hit shift in there while you're in here. on that pad and change one to fixed velocity. I rarely use fixed velocity in here. Personally, I want to have the velocity variation. That's kind of the point of having pads, drumming. So it gives you at least a little variation in your velocities. Okay, next step is how do you want to record? This video, at the time of filming, the SP has added some unique ways to record fast. One thing is, of course, they have the skip back if you just want to do that. I keep mine in the looper mode, which is how I use it a lot more than I do skip back. And with looper mode, you can have auto trigger on and just do a 4 measures. You can record in that way. If you have skip back, you could just start playing something and it'll record what you're playing, and then you can just chop that piece of sample. Then the other method, if you don't want to use this, you don't want to learn all that, is just use resample. Resample, you set the BPM for whatever you're going to use, 84. I don't know why, sometimes it's a little buggy with that, but 84. Then set the amount of bars you want. If you want a drum for 2 bars, just set it. Now resample. Sorry about that. It's picking up my volume from this source. We should be good. All right. All right, so you can bring internal, external. We're not going to get into all that. If you leave it on mix routing, if you go off of that, you basically are using whatever whatever's inside of here. So it's asking me, in order to resample, I need to pick a pad. Obviously, the ones that are not blinking are not available. And the sub pad is never available to record to right now. So you pick that. Now I have mine set to wait. It keeps changing the BPM. So we're going to put that back at 84. If you don't want to use the wait, the options are count in, off, count in 1 measure, count in 2. So it's shift 10 till you get to the one you want. I'm going to do count in wait. That means it waits so I trigger it. I'm going to turn the metronome on. Shift 9, turn the metronome on, because I want to have a metronome when I do it, okay? So I know where to place my stuff. So you could start with just doing everything if you feel comfortable, or you could just record in just parts. You don't hear it right now because I got the volume down. I don't know why it's picking up all this feedback. All right, so that didn't work out. 1 second while I adjust some volumes here because something's feedback. Oh, I got this microphone on. That's why. 1 second. All right, now we shouldn't have that problem again. I had the microphone on my computer on, so that was why I did that. Let me delete this and show you that again. All right, so we're going to go resample, set your BPM. I'm going to do 84, 2 bars, and then hit record when you're ready. Hit the pad you want. Now, this is one of the things that they got to work on that is still buggy a little bit, is that it keeps changing the BPM every time I touch something. So we pick this pad here. It's telling me to press a pad to start. So I'm going to start here. Done. So, okay, so when you have gate on, obviously you got to hold it. Boom. So now if you want to put the snares in, you're going to have to do, either you're going to resample the same pad over and over and over, or you can just put the snares in separate. So the way I like to do it, and this is challenging, is I usually do my snares a different way just because I don't want them to be off. So I'll show you my technique. You can either record all this in this way, the way I just showed you, which is what I don't do. That's the resample method. Or you can go to pattern. So let's learn pattern real quick. I don't think it's that challenging. I think you can do it. These are your samples. Pattern is where you're going to place your samples. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete what I have here, and I'm just going to start over and show you. So when you're in pattern now, you're going to hit record. All these patterns are available. I'm going to pick this first one. You're going to set the BPM. You're going to set the 2 bars for this. And then don't worry about shuffle out the gate. I mean, if you want to put shuffle on, that's fine. I usually do, but you don't have to. You can have it at 0. Now, the 2 options to record are here. So you have TR-Rec, which is where you're step recording in your samples. And if you're not comfortable with drumming in time, you might try that. If you are comfortable, then you use real time. And then you see you have options like your quantization amount, etc. You can always quantize afterwards. So if you feel like your stuff is way off, you can do it. So let's do real time recording, and then I'll show you the other version. I have a 2-bar count in. That's how I like to roll. I'm going to do everything separate. Watch. See? So now that's on the grid. I got it going. Now I may want to go and do my other portions. So I'll catch the beat on the 1. 3. Don't worry about quantization. We can do it afterwards if you want to. Now I'm going to start plugging in some hats. All right, so simple recording. We're going to stop it there. You can exit out. Just hit exit twice so you're out. All right, so here's a pattern. But you can hear that it's missing a kick. So one of my kicks was off. So I'm going to show you how you can fix that if you want to. That's where I would use something like step recording. I'll go and record. In pattern. Hit record. Pick the same pad I was just on. Now I'm going to switch to TR-Rec. Okay. If you hit sub, you can pick the kick and then place it at the 1. And this should be at the 1. So that means my timing was off. That's okay. All right, so let's fix timing. How do you fix timing? Pattern edit. Press here. Press the pad you want. Now, if you want to delete a certain part out of it, you hold delete, and then you pick the pad you want, and then press enter. That deletes it. But let's say you want to fix a part of it by using the quantization. So if you hit the record setting, you'll see up here that it says quantize 32/16. So, I mean, you can do 1/8. You can do whatever you want. It's a grid, right? You just quantize it to the grid. I'm going to do 30 seconds. And if you want to do the strength at 100, that's on you. You could take the strength down and maybe just do 50% strength. Now, this is the thing about quantization. Once you do it, you can't reverse it. You have to delete it and redo it if you mess up. So I'm going to start with the snares. And you see how I pick which one I want to start with. Then I'm going to hit quantize. And again, it reminds you can't undo this. So I'm going to hit OK. So now the snares are perfectly, should be on the beat. If that's what you want. But the hats is really what bothered me the most out of all of them. My hats were definitely off. So I'm going to go to record here. This time I'm going to put the hats a little bit at 100%, which is fine. I'm going to put the quantization for them. I'm going to do like a shuffle 16. I'm just making this up. You can do whatever you want though. Pick the hat that you want, quantize, pick the pad. So that sounds pretty good. Maybe I want to quantize everything. So I'm going to go back in. I'm going to pick the shuffle 16 with the kick this time, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. So now everything's quantized. I don't like that kick quantizer. I prefer not. So, but how do I fix that then? Well, let's go back in. Instead of re-recording 500 times the same pattern, we're going to go into record, pick that pattern, go into TR-Rec mode. So this is how you get to it. When you hit record this time, press the kick and you can look at which kick you don't like. This one, I don't like the way it sits. add it a different place. Maybe put one there. Or you can just build the whole thing in here if you don't want to drum. But if you want to drum certain parts. Now I'm about to show you a technique I use. I think DiBiase got this going got rolling on board with this. So watch this. So you can hit record. Okay, we're here. Now I'm going to go into TRX. And I'm going to pick this little percussion. Now I could just put it on the spot where I want it. Or record it in using the record button. That one's off, I could tell. It should have been here. So what people are not understanding with the SP is, now, it used to be, I agree with you, 100% it was so hard to record. Now they gave you so many options to set, measure lengths of loops, and that is so easy to get a recording in. If you got time, decent timing, and even when you don't have decent timing, if I'm off, if I need to quantize something, I can quantize. If I don't feel like my timing is good for that day, then I'll go in and record in step mode. Or I'll do the record step mode again. So step mode, I'm going to press that and just plug in where I want the snares to hit. Now they're perfectly timed, right? Do this one. But see, that's off. I'm removing the ones I don't like. And then kicks, put the kick on the one. And let's say I get to this point, but I want to add the ghost kicks in. Well, then just do it with the record button. There you go. Just add in a ghost kick. I might throw that one in. Right? So super easy to record. Step record in, fix it using step recorders, like having your MIDI adjustments. You can do, obviously you can put swing on there. You can quantize, as I showed you already. Pattern edit, select here, quantize, the shuffle. Maybe you want the hats to shuffle a little more, but you want them quantized, boom. Okay, so pattern edit. Also, another trick is, let's say, oh, it's only on that last little one, but you don't want to go into the step edit. Then you could just move over. Oops, don't change the BPM. That'll definitely mess it up. You could just move over to the second part of 2 or back to 1. So you can jump around here with different measures. If you only want to work on the first measure, you want to quantize that one, but you don't want to quantize the second one. It's fine. You just pick the measure you want. Hit the button to quantize, select the quantization amount you want, or grid, however you want to call it. Maybe you want the 1/8, maybe you want less quantize, you just want a little bit, 30% of it. Hit it, select the pad. However you want to do it, all right? Delete, press, delete. That gets rid of stuff. If you need to copy something, copy, press, copy. Or copy, press, hit. I don't try to remember this because it'll, but copy, press, copy. Delete, press, delete. It's just confirming the delete so that you don't delete something. Because what if you accidentally press one and then you're like, man, I wish I wouldn't have deleted it. Well, it gives you a chance, 1 second, one press of a chance to get it right, So anyway, so going back to here, if you want to get some swing on it, I use the shuffle sometimes. Of course, you can play it in with no quantization, but if I'm using the track recording here like this, I'll usually add it in there and then put it in these. Another good thing is this is even in a DAW. Is using velocities to give you that swing. Like big drastic velocity changes. You can do this in Koala. You can do this in any of them. But if you want to play this in, sometimes that helps. Play in the snares. Now you can drop in your first kicks. Might turn the velocity back up a little bit. Then play your other kicks in. There you go. Now, let's say you get in here and you like, oh, I'm comfortable with that, but the hi-hat's a little too loud. You can go out by going out of pattern select. Open this hi-hat up and turn it down. It's like your master volume. Turn it down. So you got velocity versus volume. Volume for the overall sound is like turning it down in the mixer, I guess. So that's a basic beat. So let's say you did that basic beat in that pattern. You're excited about it. You can copy this and bring it back into here. This is the blue light represents the actual, you know, track or actual parts, samples, however you want to term it. When you're in the other light, you see that. So now here's your sample. Put it on loop. Here's the beat that you just made. This is just so you can have it here if you wanted to loop out and then start building other stuff over it. You got that option. So this is the beat. This is just making a simple beat in a Roland SP404. I showed a lot of ways to do it. Once you find what way works for you, you don't have to learn 50 different ways to do it. I learned them because I just wanted to try them out, to be honest with you. But you don't have to do that. Figure out which way speaks to you and just go with that flow. And you'll be fine. You can record it in here if you're just one of those persons where I don't want to do all that extra pattern stuff. I just want to play it till I get it. Play it and resample yourself playing it. By the way, you can do this in Koala if you need to practice before you buy an SP. You can get in Koala and start practicing resampling yourself drumming, if that's what you want to do. Then patterning is like getting in Koala in the sequencer, right? And just plugging in your notes or playing in the notes to the sequencer. It's the same thing. It's no difference, just how you want to do it, right? And then when you're ready to start bringing in other stuff, you might start sampling instruments in, or you can sample in anything. I use the looper to sample in stuff, and then I bring it to the pad. Sometimes I just play straight to a pad by hitting resample, picking the BPM, and then once you pick your BPM and your amount that you want to do, like bars you want to do, just press the pad. It'll wait. The BPM changes sometimes. That drives me nuts. But anyway, once you do that, now you can start playing in. Now to play in, as I said before, you need to change this to external in. If you're going to record anything in, it needs to be external in. If you don't, and you leave it on mix, it's going to play what's in your pads. It will not play what's coming in from the external, right? So anything external, whether it be your guitar you plugged in, your bass you plugged in, your microphone you plugged in, your USB-C to something plugged in, your other imports that you have to plug in, you always use external in to record from them. And that way you get a clean recording, plus you don't get all the extra, you don't get all your other sounds bleed into that one sound. It's just that sound recording in. Anyway, that's the basis of it. If you need to stop, pause, rewind, watch the video a few times. I know this video is long, but that's the real me going slower, showing you some basic stuff to get started making a beat in the SP404. If you got any questions, put them in the comments below. And let's help each other and not talk down on people if they're trying to learn. So let's make sure we keep it clean like that and always positive. All right, I'm out.